Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're exploring something, well, quieter than a catastrophe, but maybe more chilling. It's this idea of a community's peace just fading away, not with a bang, but more like a murmur.
Exactly, a murmur. That's a good way to put it. It's the sound of social decay setting in. We've gone through a number of studies, urban sociology reports looking at neighborhood change over decades.
And our mission here for this deep dive is to trace the timeline that these sources lay out. We're using one block, Northwood Avenue, as a kind of case study.
Right, to understand what the researchers call the normalization of violence. It's this creeping process.
And normalization, it's not just witnessing violence, is it? It's more profound. It's like the community's ability to even see it as wrong starts to fade.
Yeah, it just becomes part of the background. To really get it, we need to start where the sources do about 40 years back with someone named Elena.
Her memory's right. Front porches, people talking, barbecues. That sense of community as something real, tangible, like a safety net.
A solid foundation. But then things started to shift. The first stage, according to the material, began with what's termed a perceived injustice.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
Well, a teenager commits an act of violence. Shocking initially. But then whispers start, things like, well, he had it coming.
That justification, that little crack opens up because someone decided the violence was somehow deserved.
Precisely. That perceived injustice. It creates the first small break in that shared sense of peace.
And that's such a crucial insight, isn't it? Because once you say violence might be okay sometimes, you chip away at that collective responsibility, that shared grief.
And it makes the next act of violence easier to stomach.
So, okay, that seed is planted. What comes next? This leads into desensitization.
Exactly. Stage 2, desensitization and normalization. Just sheer exposure starts to numb people. Those fights that used to horrify everyone.
Yeah.
Eventually, they just lead to people locking their doors, maybe turning up the TV. The threshold for shock just keeps moving back.
So the sirens, instead of being alarms, they become, what did the source call it? The block's evening song.
That's the phrase. It's chilling.
It's like people unconsciously decide it's safer, or maybe just easier to ignore it than to engage or even feel the trauma anymore.
That quiet turning away, that's the engine of normalization really kicking in.
And the result of that engine running?
Stage 3, the erosion of community. When people stop reacting together, they stop depending on each other. The social bonds fray.
Like with Mr. Henderson in the community garden.
Right. A perfect example from the sources. He tried, he organized things, but the garden kept getting vandalized. Eventually, he just stopped.
And his reason was just heartbreaking. No one cares anymore.
Devastating. It signals that loss of faith in the neighbors, in the collective.
But why didn't others step in right then? Was the fear already that strong? Just silent porches instead of support?
The research suggests the fear was palpable, contagious even. And when that internal community support disappears, people naturally look outwards to authorities.
Which brings us to the next stage, the justice system's response.
Stage 4, overwhelmed justice response. It becomes an institutional struggle. Elena's story, again, a stray bullet, shatters her kitchen window.
Terrifying.
Absolutely. And she calls for justice, naturally. But the investigation, it's slow, resources are stretched thin, and ultimately no arrests are made.
Like trying to bail out a sinking ship with a teaspoon, as the source put it. You see the system trying, maybe, but failing repeatedly. What does that do to people psychologically?
It cements the feeling that there's no real health coming. The chaos is winning. And that leads tragically to the final stage, which is acceptance as language. This is maybe the most disturbing part. Ellen describes seeing kids, maybe 10 years old, playing scenes of violence they'd witnessed. Not like cops and robbers, but reenacting the raw, ugly stuff.
Oh, wow. So they weren't playing make-believe, they were learning the script.
Exactly. They weren't horrified by it anymore. It had become their language, the way things are done on Northwood Avenue. That's the final tragic acceptance.
It's become the very air they breathe.
Yeah. And Elena's final point really ties it all together. The real tragedy wasn't just the violence itself. It was the slow, creeping acceptance of it all, that quiet surrender.
The feeling that this was just the way things were now. So that community web, that safety net Elena remembered, it got replaced by, well, by a cage of fear. It really makes you think. If this whole slide starts with that tiny justification that they had it coming, whisper,
right,
then we have to ask ourselves, what does that quiet surrender look like today in our own communities? And maybe more importantly, what knowledge, what actions do we need to interrupt that murmur before it turns into something deafening?
That's the question to sit with, definitely.